All right, here we go. This is going to be an intro in. Sorry I can't be here today. Hopefully you can kind of follow along on the video and it's best as you can. The nice thing is you'll be able to stop and start it as much as you need. So right here, we're going to go to sign in. One thing you have to remember from yesterday, this is probably the hardest thing right away, or the first thing that's going to be an issue is, of course, when you log in, capitalize your password. If you did not get in, if you go up to whoever the sub is, I do have my period 4 period 4 Google Classroom code. And if you can log in, you can go in Onshape that way. For the people that are already logged in yesterday and got in, ready to rock. All right, let's start it and we can go through this. So, you see, I told you there'd be a so. This is what the main page looks like. I'll kind of break down everything and go over some simple tools today. This probably won't take you the whole hour, hopefully, but at least you can learn a couple things since I'm not there. This page is going to be, of course, your main page when you come in. This is how they keep track of everything. So, for example, when I'm looking at any part that anyone's ever done, I can just scroll through these. And the problem is, for me, is I have probably 1,000 of them. You won't have, of course, have that many, so it won't be as big as an issue for you. So when we're looking at this, you have different things here. You have recently opened, created by me, shared with me, public. I didn't go through this, but public is your creations in this will go to the public folder. Now, we won't be doing stuff quite like this because if you look at some of these, they are pretty intense. I'm always amazed at some of the things that people can make or put together. And not saying that you can't, but it is one of those things that is definitely a challenge. So, where's that violin? I thought I saw a violin somewhere. There it is. You can open any of these, and if you do open it, it just takes you to the file, and the file looks exactly like this as it's warming up. So you can go through, and the first thing I'm doing is this is on the wheel. The wheel is going to zoom in, and I'm not trying to make anyone sick, but the wheel is going to zoom in on something. Wherever I have my cursor pointed, so for example, I might point it here, if I roll the wheel, it's going to zoom in right there, okay, or all the way through. Now, if I move off of that, and same thing, if I zoom out, it's going to zoom out according to wherever that's at. So if I go over here and zoom out, it kind of messes me up. Now let's say we go through here and you're like, what the heck, I'm lost, I can't find it. Up here, this is called your view cube. If you can click corners, you can click sides, you can click an entire side, whatever's highlighted. So for example, I'm going to click this corner. And once I click it, it brings it back to the home screen of where this violin is at. And the violin also has a stamp. Now, on the bottom here are different files that make up the violin. And you can go through and click these. And if you can't find the violin file, that's perfectly fine. Just kind of nice, or grab a file. It can be any file and just kind of follow along. You can see here's violin for large printer. So someone is literally going to 3D print a violin, which would work. And it'll break it down here. This is called the exploded view. For example, when someone creates a product, if anyone's ever bought anything and you open it up and you're trying to put it together, it'll have the exploded view and it'll show you, oh, that's how it goes together, and have all these little bubbles like a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to put the parts together. And that's all created in this. And if you go all the way through here, here's another part on how they did it, and then the last one here is going to be the assembly file. Now, there's nothing in here because they did it in this one. If you just hover over and let go, it'll go to it. So that's how you can view some of the other public pictures. So those are all examples. All right, let's go up to the Onshape document here. And we're going to start creating something simple. Now, for some of you, as we're going through this, you'll be like, oh, this is so easy. And some of you, this is going to be brand new. Don't get discouraged. Everyone's at a different level, and I'm perfectly fine with that. When looking at this home screen, you can see there's a little question mark up here. The question mark is the help menu. You have a learning center. This has tons of training resources. If there's something, honestly, my favorite is right here, is YouTube. And here I told you I'm going to plug my channel. Here's my channel with my 63 subscribers. I know people are jealous of that. I will have this in all these videos I usually have up and open, and there's some different stuff you can see here that we'll do in Photoshop and things like that. So and I'll the video that I link tomorrow will be through my YouTube channel. But anyway, I find everything that I need to use on YouTube. It is the best for resources to find something. Now, the App Store you'll never use share. You'll share documents with me, and that's what happens. And then I can be working in the document if you are also, which is really, really nice if you get stuck on something. So here's our public, here's our shared with me, created by me, recently opened. So if I click created by me, that's just going to show me everything that I've ever created in here. And there's tons of different stuff that I'm not going to go through. And then my Onshape. Now, what I'm going to do up here is create. You don't have to worry about a folder is nice. A folder looks like this. If you create a folder and you have to make these 6 parts, I call them, and then you can make them in there, then I get the whole folder, and it's a lot easier for me to look through and grade. And we'll talk about that on how to save stuff. All right, so we can go up to create and create document. You can call this one cube or practice, whatever. We'll call it cube. Now, my video is going to be running out in I got about 8 minutes. So I might talk a little faster, and if I lose you or if you get lost, just pause me, rewind me. They don't label it as an XYZ axis on here. They label it as a top, front, right. If you go over here, you can move this view cube to wherever you feel comfortable with. I always leave it in the corner. That is more of a preference, and that's up to you. To move the view cube, I'm going to right click on my mouse, and as I do that, hold it down, I can then rotate the object. This comes in really, really handy for when you're trying to get an object, turn it around, move it. And try these things as I'm moving through it. And if you get stuck here, you just click there, it goes back to home or wherever you want it. Over here, these are going to be your different planes. They just call them top, front, and right. And if you look here, you can see that there's these little eyes. If you click them, they eliminate those so you can't see them. That's a personal preference. If you like to, it sometimes can get confusing when you have an object with the planes in the way. All right, now to make something three-dimensional, you first you have to sketch it. Now, if I just let my cursor, for example, if I go to sketch and just let it sit there, it'll eventually give me this. Create a new sketch, and it'll tell me everything I need to do. So I'm just going to click sketch. Everything occurs in pairs. It's kind of, in CAD program, it's like you got to do one thing, but you must do the other. So it's never like just click one and you're like, oh, there it is. No, you got to click this and then click a check mark or something. So now it says select a sketch plane. So it really doesn't matter on which plane you actually do select. But if you want to select one, all right, I'm just going to select the top. Now, as I select top, you can see the sketch one. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. You can go and hit top here and it'll flip it around. So for example, you could do that. And now, as you can see, there's my sketch. Or if you're looking at that, I just right click and then I can view normal to sketch plane and it'll give me that. Now, what this is saying is this is my 2-dimensional space right here. Now, let's say I'm going to do is draw a rectangle. Now, everything you've ever probably drawn in your life is click and drag. You don't do that on this program. You just click once. I just clicked once. Now I'm moving my mouse. Now you can see how the two numbers change as I move it, and that's going to be set in inches. You can change it to metric if you want, but we'll leave it for inches for our sake. And that's set in inches. So once I click again, you can see now it highlights this. This one still, and you can see how if I change my cursor, it just changes it white. So now what that's saying is, let's say I want to change that to 4 inches. I'm just going to go on my keyboard and hit 4. And then I'm going to hit enter or return. Once I do that, it creates this thing called a dimension. And this dimension now is 4 inches. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to click 4 and then enter. Now, remember how I said everything occurs in pairs? Now we've drawn our 4x4 square. Now it's time to finish it. And once I finish it, now I have a perfect 4x4 square. Now's the time we're going to make it three-dimensional. So if I go up here, there's different ones. The first one that we are going to use quite a bit is called extrude. What extrude does is once I click that, it gives me a plethora of different things to do. I will always do this. If I come over and help you, I'm going to tell you to take this and just slightly turn it. It's nice to be looking at stuff at an angle because sometimes when you're looking straight on, you can't tell if it worked. So I might click extrude, and there we go. Now, 2 ways to do this. You can go on here and you can click this arrow and drag it out. And if I do that, you can see how this number over here is changing to whatever I drag it to, right? Now, I usually don't do that. I just usually do it and type in manually. So I'm just going to type 4 and hit return. So now, if I look at this, I have a 4 inch by 4 inch by 4 inch cube. Perfect cube, okay? Now, once I have that, there's these different things up here. We'll get to a little later, but for example, add is mean you're adding to it, removes it the other way. All right, whoops. So now let's, oh, I messed up, sorry. So let me click this again. I'm going to change this to 4. Now, once I do that and click off, it'll create this. Now I want to show you this. This little arrow will flip it to the other way. Okay, so if you want it to go the other way, there you go. So there we go. That's how we can draw a square. Okay, so 4 inches by 4 inches. Now, the next thing we're going to just mess around a little bit with is going to be making a hole in something. There are 2 ways to make a hole. I'm running short on time here. I have a couple of minutes, so I'm going to speed it up. 2 ways to make a hole. First thing you have to do is always draw on this one you want. So I hit sketch. Oh, sorry. See? There we go. I hit sketch. I'm going to click on the face, and it truly doesn't matter. Now you can see how that switches. I'm just going to right click and view normal. Now, here's one way I can do a hole. If I click this is the center point circle one. Now, I'm going to show you something. If I just run my cursor over this, you'll see eventually, boom, right there, that square. That means I'm in the middle. Now I get this thing, I call it trailing ants. And I'm going to do the same thing over here, boom. So now if I take this out until they meet, now I know I'm directly in the center of that. And let's say we make that 1. So I take it out and just type 1. Okay. Now again, everything occurs in pairs. I finish that. And now I'm going to extrude it. And you can see, watch what you're clicking on. I just want the circle. If I click on the circle, you can see here, you can drag that out a little bit. Okay, we'll say 4 inches just because everything seems to be 4. All right, so there's that one's done. Now, another way to make this is, well, I got about 30 seconds left, so I'm going to stop this video. Sorry, I am very long-winded, but I'm going to get you going on another one here. Okay, I'll call it video 1 intro and video 2 intro.